All right, good morning, agents. This is Kevin Lauren. I'm the Director of Training and Marketing here at Alta Realty Group. And today we are going to go over a very important topic that we cover at least twice a year. And that is making sure that you take control of your digital footprint online. Really important as a realtor. So this is going to be a great webinar review for many of you that have been with us for years. But for those of you that just joined us, it's going to be a very eye-opening and great webinar. So welcome, everybody. Before we get into today's presentation, I'm going to bring Bill Seitz, corporate broker for Alta, on the line. Good morning, Bill. How are you today?
Yeah, good morning, Kevin. Good morning, everybody. You're doing well. Here we are, hump day.
You know it. This is where we're right where we need to be.
The hump of the week. That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, this will be a good webinar, Kevin. I think for a lot of people, yeah, like you said, especially the new agents that maybe haven't gotten touched by this topic, it'll be a good one. And it's always good refresher for those who have heard it a couple times.
For sure. And so, some of our agents, they've heard it a few times, but maybe they haven't taken action. So hopefully this spurs all of you that haven't taken action to take it to the next step, make this thing, a reality for you.
Yep, technology is not stopping for anybody, so we have to keep reminding and keep pushing and keep utilizing new tools. So it's a noteworthy topic for sure.
Oh yeah.
So real quick before we get started, Kevin, I think Amelia has a quick market update for us. But I did send out a reminder yesterday for the Broker Tuesday tip. It was just a reminder for those that may have not gotten the message that Lauren Nowak, our file review compliance officer, is out of the country. She's in Germany. And so what we've done is we haven't let that slow any CDAs down from going out. So all we are asking is make sure that your close of escrow date is updated in SkySlope. You can have your TC email me or yourself and telling us which day it's closing. We are producing those without delay, and so you shouldn't be any problem getting your commissions at closing. The only thing that may happen is if your file isn't complete, as we really encourage everything to be compliant and in the regards to the DRE and what they're expected of us and a licensee. You may have to do some closing document cleanup when Lauren gets back, because she will be going back through and auditing all the files, making sure that everything is there. But in the meantime, we're not going to let that slow you guys up from getting paid. So that is a good scenario for everybody in the meantime.
Absolutely. So yeah, let's bring on, and that's all you had to say, right, Bill?
Yeah, that's just basically the important reminder. It's enough. It's enough on its own.
Exactly. All right, perfect. Well, thanks, Bill. Appreciate that. And let's bring Amelia Hollow from Clearview Mortgage on the line. Good morning, Amelia. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm good. Hope everybody on the call is good as well. Yeah, quick mortgage market update today. Last week I mentioned on the meeting it was a super, super volatile week for interest rates and volatile in a bad direction. We saw not totally unprecedented because it's been a weird couple years here, but pretty unprecedented. I mean, that was one of the biggest spikes I've seen in my time doing mortgages. I think some of my stuff that I had in my pipeline that I did not have locked, unfortunately, was going up as much as 0.5%, close to a full percent from, where we started. And so that was just a lot of tough conversations I had to have last week with clients. And thankfully, I will say this week we have had some relief. I would probably call it a correction because there's not been any major economic data to support, the bond market recovering a little bit, other than the fact that, when it goes up sharply like that, usually it eases off. So, if you've got any files that are in escrow that are floating, I know that's the lender side of the equation, but, it would be a very good time to lock in, because I think one guarantee right now is that more volatility is very likely coming, and it could be another big spike. Another recommendation I'm making right now to some of my clients who are in negotiations is pad your ask right now for seller credit a little bit, to protect against that volatility. Because obviously, if the file's not even in escrow yet and you're just in negotiation with the seller, you may be floating an interest rate and not in a position to lock yet. And if in 2 days rates shoot up again, one of my clients right now is negotiating some seller credit, and I said, why don't you just ask for an extra 5 or 10,000, even if it means raising your sales offer a little bit to offset that. That way, if rates do shoot up, you're protected against it because you can use that for permanent rate buy down. Not ideal, but it would protect against a situation where this is just no longer doable for the buyer. And then if they stay where they are, they go down further, let's hope, then you're just going to have additional credit that you can be using towards your closing costs. So um, with that, I'll just touch on the fact that, especially if you're a newer realtor, you may not be used to working with a lender closely or a mortgage partner closely. It may just be that your clients are out, shopping around with their bank or whoever. And I will just offer that I think it's a really strong asset to a realtor to have a strong mortgage partner, because we can collaborate when it comes to making a deal that makes sense for your client so that they don't wait. Again, something I kind of touched on last week with the temporary rate buy downs, and how there were a couple clients who definitely would have just waited out interest rates and stayed in their rentals, that decided, you know what, I can make this work with this temporary buy down structure. And I know that that was really awesome for the realtors that I was working with on those deals, because they got that sale within a month instead of having to wait, endlessly for rates to come down. And that's just true across the board, whether it's a temporary rate buy down or any other structure. Being able to be working closely with somebody who's going to get creative for you. If you're at an open house and you're meeting somebody on the fly, but your hands are full and you're busy, and you just shoot over a text like, hey, call this person. I am adding that person to my phone. I am creating a list in my computer with that person's information and really getting their full story so that I can come back to you and say, okay, here's the deal. Here's what they're looking for. And we can really be collaborating on that. We take that a step further then, if you'd like, this is optional, when you're making your offer, CC me into that correspondence with the realtor, and I can chime in as a reply and just let them know, yes, this person's already pre-underwritten, they're extremely qualified, and here's my track record for fast closing, and just kind of add a layer of assurances to the offer that you're making to strengthen it, hopefully a little bit. And then finally, something I actually picked up from Debbie, really great communication throughout the file. Once you're in escrow, just knowing that you're going to be working with someone who is willing to be providing updates to the entire group the entire time, from, hey, we're in underwriting, here's the update, we've got the appraisal back, details like that. So kind of from start to finish, that can really be an asset for you to make sure that you're confident with the process. Also, follow-up marketing with your clients. And overall, definitely the most important, just getting creative to finding ways to make the financing work so that the deal happens. And yeah, I'd say lock in if you've got people, talk to them about getting the rate locked so that it doesn't move any further, and ask for seller credit. And those are my probably top 2 tips this week.
Perfect, Amelia. Very good tips. I think for a realtor to have a strong mortgage partner, that is, another arrow in your quiver, and it just shows how much of a professional you are. So that's the hugest takeaway that I have from that.
And I will add to that, Kevin. What I really like about loan officers that are proactive, that are willing to call the listing agent on behalf of the buyer and the buyer's agent, really, and proactively, not being asked to do it, but you do it, because you want to make sure that if they have any questions, that you're here to answer them, and basically, verify that the buyer has the capacity to close on this transaction, is a huge, just extra little, icing on the cake for you and your buyers.
That is for sure, Bill. All right, perfect. Well, thank you very much, Amelia. Always a pleasure to have you on our webinars.
Thanks,
Yeah, if you don't
guys.
have her in contact, Kevin, you put Amelia's contact in the replays, correct?
I do. It's always in the replays, and I just put it in the chat. So check the chat, and you will have her phone number.
Perfect.
All right, great, guys. So now we are going to move swiftly to our feature presentation, which is the digital footprint of the realtor. So what happens when you get a referral? Somebody refers you, somebody you've done business with refers you to another person. Well, I'd say about 9 times out of 10, that person's going to do a little Google search on you if they're savvy. And so what that looks like is they'll put your name in, they'll probably put the word realtor and probably the city that you're in and find out who you are and what the heck's going on with you. So this is one of our agents, Charles Barnes. He's been with us for quite a while. I think he's been with us since 2017. So great guy. He is in the Buena Park, Fullerton area. And over the years, he and I have trained on this. And so he has done a phenomenal job of taking control of his digital footprint as a realtor. So this is what it looks like. You do the Google search and all of these different little things pop up. And so what he's done for each of these listings that you see is he has created his Zillow profile. That's free. You don't have to pay for it. He's created his Nextdoor profile, also free. All these are free to do, but you have to create the profile. You have to put in all your information. You have to fill out as much information as they let you, and that way you're in control of the things that pop up when someone Googles your name. Otherwise, it can be either there's nothing there, or it can be, maybe some, God forbid, maybe some bad reviews about somebody that has worked with you in the past. So really, really important the first step as a realtor is just do this simple step and Google your own name and the word realtor so you can see, and do this often. Do this once a month. Make sure that you know what is out there on the wide world of the web, and make sure that you're completely aware of what's there. So you don't want any surprises. And so you'll notice that homes.com, and this is very telling. So the things that pop up first on this first results page are things that have what we call a high PR value. So Zillow, massive. It's a huge page rank a website. I think it's page rank in the eyes of Google is between 0 and 9. And I would say Zillow's at least a 7 or an 8. So websites that have a big page rank, they tend to rank higher in the search results pages on Google. And it works the same way for Bing and any of the other search engines. But as we all know, Google is by far the biggest. So we really focus on Google because that's where the traffic is. So Nextdoor, Realty.com, even X, Facebook, obviously, Instagram. He's got 2 listings from Nextdoor, so you can tell how powerful that is. And that surprises me. And this changes too. So, these things, the algorithms change over time, and, they could change every couple of months in some cases. So, a year ago, Nextdoor was not ranking, higher than homes.com. So for whatever reason, that is popping up very, very prominently. So make sure that you go to all of these different websites that you see here and you fill out your profiles. So Facebook is also massive, YouTube, massive. This is an easy one too. So let me just click on his YouTube link. And this goes directly to an awesome video that he made. We won't listen to the to the audio, but so you can make these cool little videos on YouTube, and you can put all of your information in this little area down here. And so the keywords here are he specializes in a specific community within I think it is Buena Park, or it might be Fullerton, but he specializes in a very, very specific community called Lakeside. So he always puts Lakeside in his, all of his different things that he does. So super important. Even Alta Realty Group pops up. We even have a very good page rank because that website has been around since 2015 now. So super important. So the other thing that is, so let me back up 1 second. So this right here, this is his Google listing. And so this is honestly the most important thing to get done if you haven't done this already. So what you do is you go over to, you just put in Google My Business into Google, and you'll come to this page, and it'll allow you to build out this little profile on Google. And so it's very, very important that you do this. Now, I'll give you one tip. So when you're doing this, it will always give you the opportunity to put your address in like this right here. However, if you don't want to use your home address, and you know, Charles has used his home address, which is absolutely fine. But if you don't want to do that, they do give you the option to, there's a little button that says, I service my clients not at my location, but at, you know, their location, for lack of a better explanation. So you're going to want to do that. Most of the realtors do that. Now, a lot of realtors have tried to use, you know, some of our office addresses, but unfortunately, those are already listed under Alta Realty Group, so you can't do that, and it will hurt your ranking. So you don't want to do that. So that's a huge step. Go to Google My Business. Make sure you fill out the free profile right here, free business profile, right? And literally fill out every single thing, you know, every category, even office hours, you know, all of the things that allow you to do that. So, but one of the great things about once you've done that is you have the ability to now send people to your Google profile and get reviews. So how cool does this look when somebody Googles you and they've got 13 5-star reviews? They got the gold stars. It looks awesome. It really speaks to who you are as a realtor. And so what you'll be able to do is click on reviews. And actually, I've already made a review for Charles because he's awesome. But you can click on these reviews, but you can send people to the reviews, and you can make sure that they are filling out a review for you once you've done a, you know, a deal with them. So it's a really, really important step, and it's a really powerful thing that you can do. And building these reviews is paramount to your online success and making you look like the rock star that you are online. So that's a really important step. The other thing that we've just been, and I know some of you, so the other thing that you can do is you can go to AdWorks. So AdWorks, we had a representative from AdWorks come on. They have built us our own AdWorks platforms. So if you haven't utilized AdWorks yet, I really encourage you to do so. And we had, I think it was about a month ago, and they're in the replays on our YouTube channel, but using AdWorks is really powerful. So what the AdWorks does is you can use this for both listings as well as just yourself as a realtor. So when people come to your website, or even you are able to upload a list of your clients and past clients and prospective clients. And so when people go onto websites like CNBC and you've got these little sponsored ads on the side, your ad pops up right here for them to see. So this is really cool when you're doing this to market a listing, because you can put in your sellers information. And so when your sellers on websites like CNBC and all these other websites, I mean, the list is phenomenal. They might even give us a little list down here somewhere, but they are going to see their home on these peripheral websites all over the internet. And so that is a massive way to build and to take advantage of your digital footprint online, because you are now following people all over the web with your information, and it makes you look very powerful. It's like, you know, magic, especially for people that don't really, follow this stuff and understand it. So it really is an important thing. So if you go here, you can create an ad. You can create a real estate listing ad. You can make an ad for your sphere or database, massive, or you can do it by zip code, Or you can do digital out of home ads. You can stream ads on TV. You can do video ads. There is a really cool set of things that you could do using AdWorks. So in conjunction with doing, taking advantage of, filling out all of these individual, they basically call all these business listings or social media sites. But, so X is a social media site, Facebook's a social media site. All the other ones are business listing sites. Nextdoor, Zillow, Homes.com, and even Realtor.com. So, and I'm surprised that he doesn't have a Realtor.com one pop up here, but maybe it's on the second page. Let's just take a look. Redfin, right? Down here, he's got more YouTube, more Redfin. But all of these things are things that Charles took the time to make sure that he has, his information filled out properly. And another thing that is very, very important to notice and to correct is when you change, some of our agents just, came over to Alta Realty Group. Well, it's really important that you make sure that all of these things have your current information. You don't want to have things that are, from your past broker or, things from a long time ago that, are not updated, because that makes you look inefficient. So you want to make sure that all of these different things reflect exactly who you are, who your broker is, what you're doing now. So super important. I'm going to switch my screens. 1 second here. And I've got a little graphic that I'll show you eventually. All right, so this is SEO for realtors. And so the number one thing, as I just went over, is take control of your name. Make sure that when you are Googled, that you know exactly what is being said. And then some of these other things they're less important. But number one after that, collect reviews on third-party sites. So the big third-party sites to collect the reviews on are obviously Google. Zillow is also another great place to collect those reviews, and you can do that all for free. And then also even Yelp, even though I hate Yelp, but it's not a bad idea. That also stands out. It also pops up on, the Google search results very, very prominently. So that's a really good one. And then I'll include this link. This is a link that goes to a whole ton of ancillary business directories. And so this is the list of about the 50 top ones here. So let's just go through a couple of these little stats here. So these days, and this was, honestly, these stats have come up a tiny bit. This was from last year. So the stats say 90% of home buyers use the internet. I think that's come up at least a point or two. 44% of home buyers go to the internet first to start their home search. That's come up, right? Especially for certain age groups, for millennials and for, younger home buyers. They are almost always starting their home search online before they ever pick up a phone, before they ever talk to you, right? 60% of those will click on the top 3 results. So we just saw the top 3 results, in our search engine's result page. And then 93% of buyers 36 years and younger go online as part of their real estate search process. So, and that's the biggest, market segment, with 3% or more share of that than baby boomers. So super, super important to get this stuff done, to make sure that you are, focusing on these things, and you know exactly what's being said about you online. So the last thing I'll just touch on is YouTube is probably the easiest thing for you to do, creating super short YouTube videos. And they can just be a slideshow of a few, pictures of homes that you've sold, hopefully. And if you haven't sold any homes, you can just, put in some random homes and, set it to music, put it into YouTube and call it good. And so the way that we do that at Alta is we use Canva. And so Canva is very, very easy to use. You can create these short little videos, set them to, music, and Canva, provides, stock music that you can use and not get in trouble. And so creating those short little YouTube videos and putting that on your YouTube channel and creating a YouTube channel, those of you who have not done it, is a very, very quick way to make sure that you're going to have at least one more listing that's going to pop up for sure in the search results page when somebody does a search for your name. So, and here, I'll just read this last little thing here. So if you're thinking that you can just skip over implementing SEO and focus 100% on your time on paid advertising, keep in mind that the paid spend doesn't convert as well as the organic spend. What do I mean by the paid search? So the other way to maximize your digital footprint online is to go to Google and to do Google Ads. Now, Google Ads are very expensive. If you lived in Iowa, you could probably get away with spending about $200 to $300 a month, and you'd get plenty of leads. Southern California, Northern California, you're looking at more of like 1,200 to 2,000 up to 3,000 to get enough leads to get some deals. So unless you have a large budget, that's not really the way to do it. Plus, they just don't convert as well as this organic traffic. Okay, so and then I will include this list of the top online directories and social media sites for you to reference, and make sure that you go and fill out as many as you can. And you don't have to do them all at once. You can pick a couple a week and make sure that you're filling out the information on ones that you don't have. And this is just a really, really great way, especially if you don't have any deals and you're wondering, what should I do with my time as a realtor? This is exactly what you should be doing with your time. So that is the conclusion of our digital footprint webinar. So Bill, what kind of takeaways do you have for today's webinar?
I just think it's just getting in the habit of, if this might seem daunting for some people, like, oh, I haven't started. I haven't done any of this stuff, and I know I need to do it, but I don't. Where do I start? I think it's just a matter of, one, starting, and number two, maybe just setting putting in your calendar like an hour a week, and then just plugging away at it. And you'll be surprised over the next 4 or 6 weeks how much you'll have accomplished, and you'll be doing the things that exactly what you're talking about.
Now that's key, because you're absolutely right. You don't need to get overwhelmed with this stuff, but you do just have to be diligent about it, and you will get it handled. And then you're going to make a huge impact in your business.
Yeah, I mean, even for myself, just obviously I'm not doing a lot of the day-to-day things as an agent, because I just don't, I'm doing things for the brokerage, but I have to set reminders for myself to do certain things for the brokerage. And so those come up and remind me every week. Yep, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. So I think there's really no difference, what role you are in this business. But I find that setting those reminders that go off every week, are very helpful just to keep myself on the routine. And I think this is something that would be very helpful as well.
For sure. Well, Bill, appreciate the insight and the feedback. And agents, make sure that you do these things. Don't just come on the webinar and say, yeah, that's great. I really appreciate when you guys take action and you make this stuff, part of your strategy. So with that, I hope you guys have a great week, and I want you to make it a productive week, and we will see you all on the webinar next Wednesday. Bye-bye.